the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Gambles that Tennessee's coaching staff has made this offseason is one that paid off for him.
On the flip side, on the defensive line, Jackson Moy comes in from Stanford, defensive tackle, played a lot of football there, flashed in that regard. Kind of an under-the-radar pickup, 3-star kid, but a rotation guy where Tennessee, we've talked about, they were quietly very thin on the interior. They're loaded on the edge. Like Tennessee, I don't even know how they're going to divvy up these snaps with Ross, Joseph, and Pierce and company. Like they got dudes upon dudes on the outside, but in the interior, they need Tyree Weathersby to be healthy and be a factor in this defensive line room. You get Omar Nolan-Lott back, you get Amari Thomas back. Those are huge, but you need some other guys like Bryson Easton also back, but you needed a couple more bodies. Elijah Simmons and Jackson. You just look at it and you're like, Jackson, I think, is another one where he just solidifies your depth, where you can withstand some injuries into the interior and still be okay. And he just feels like he's a good hit and a good solid rotation guy. He's not going to change the directory of Tennessee's defensive line, but I think he should, by all means, be a nice rotation guy and nice depth piece in that interior and going to challenge for snaps, I think.
I don't think Tennessee ended up necessarily being thin at defense tackle when they got Norman Lott back and they got Amari Thomas back, but they definitely weren't deep. So it is good to add another guy from an injury standpoint. I don't really know where he fits in the rotation or what spot, but yeah, he's certainly a guy that's capable of going out there and playing 15 to 20 snaps any given game for Tennessee. And I think two things that stand out to him about me: versatility. He slid over and played some, strong side defensive end for Stanford last year, which, get another option, another spot that he can play. And he is also, all those guys we just named on the defensive line, tons of those guys are going to be gone. They're going to be gone after this season. And Tennessee needs some guys to be able to come in and be able to play in 2025, and guys that have a little bit of experience and guys that have been inside of the program. So I think that's almost where it's more encouraging. Just going to be, he's played 2 years at Stanford, so he's got 3 years to play 2 at Tennessee. And the fact that he'll be back in 25, along with his versatility, are kind of the things that stand out the most to me.
Yeah, and look, you could never have too much depth. He's a nice piece, and Tennessee's going to have dudes on the defensive line. I think when you look at just who's back and just the rotation options for Eckler and Rodney Garner and company over there, I mean, it's going to be fun. Like they've recruited very well there. They've handled the portal very well there. I think Tennessee's going to be really strong. And Tyree West quietly flashed in the Iowa Citrus Bowl game, and I think he'll be more than serviceable replacing Tyler Barron on the opposite side. But I don't know. I think Tennessee's in good shape on the defensive line at this point.
No doubt. I mean, that's the one spot that Tennessee's been at least solid at the whole entire time, or the one defensive spot that Tennessee's been solid at Josh Heupel's entire tenure. It's what going out and hiring a guy like Rodney Garner does, and they've continued to recruit well there. And they haven't recruited as elite on the inside. And I guess that's probably a lot of credit to Mike Eckler for how well he has recruited at the edge spots. But they have a bunch of dudes there, and they have a bunch of solid guys that can play snaps and not be liabilities. You're not going to be soft in the inside. And Rodney Garner is going to have that group very solid. And then when you have the studs that you have on the edge, you don't need those guys to be a ton more. So, again, I think we maybe said it in our first podcast after the Citrus Bowl. I think the defense line will again be even better last year than it was this year. And certainly that was, one of the best position groups on the entire team, and definitely the best position group on the defense.
Absolutely. Final thing here, Ryan Schumpert. Weekly baseball player spotlight. We're a little over a month away from Tennessee baseball being back here. So our weekly player spotlight, Christian Moore.
Nicely done, nephew.
Pouring
the Chase Thomas
water
podcast.
On Christian
Hell yeah.
But wherever he plays, it's going to be a big factor. He's probably Tennessee's best hitter going into 2024. He's probably who you trust the most going into 2024 with the bat. But look, what can Vol fans expect out of Simo in 2024? What are you looking for him to improve upon from last year, and where do you think he ultimately best fits on this Tennessee team?